Hello everyone, I am GLPhoenix and yeah, this is going to be Yoshi's Crafted World. We don't start time on this screen, I am just going to start it just so we can... It just look nicer to show off that screen right off the bat. But yeah, I'm going to be showing off the 80% run. It's honestly been a while since this has had too much in the way of like developments, but it is always a run that I've been very fond of. It's a very charming game. It's just a very delightful game, and I'm always excited to show this one off. So yeah, early on, well, we're going to be choosing the amount of players that we're going to be playing with. Currently, it's going to be one. Later on, I do have a second controller because I will be needing to do some little shenanigans using 2 players, but that is not going to happen until much later. And just keep that in mind. There is going to be a time where I will be requiring my second controller, but for the time being, it's just going to be just me on my own, just doing the Yoshi thing. And as for which color we're going to be using, well, I have to go with the best color, which is purple. But if at any point anyone feels inclined to disagree, or would like me to use a different color, I can be very easily convinced with donations. Like, I can do that at any point during the run, as long as I'm not, like, literally in the middle of a level. But I can be convinced to switch up the color, if you so choose. But we are going to be starting out with the purple, and we can get ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go! Alrighty, so in terms of how the speedrun plays out, it's like, you look at the estimates, 2 hours and 30. It's fairly straightforward. There's not like too many major glitches or sequence breaks. It's just playing it fairly standard all the way through. We do have a few tricks up our sleeves to get through certain sections a little bit quicker. And it's just a lot about optimization and just trying to get through the levels as quickly as possible, while also getting enough of the flowers per level to be able to get through various checkpoints throughout the game. In terms of the speedrun tech that we have for this game, I'll show off one of them very early on. I'll show you what happens without it and what happens with it. So very first thing we have to do, first of all, I do have to change the controller settings. The egg tossing goes to hasty. But if I was to run up and eat this Shy Guy, you see I stall a little bit, but if I jump immediately as I start pulling out the tongue, you maintain your momentum, and you get to go a little bit quicker. And yeah, it may not seem like the biggest issue, or the biggest deal, or the biggest deal breaker, but it's one thing that you're going to be doing consistently over the course of this entire run. And any little way you can speed things up, the better. And it's going to make itself known over the course of a multi-hour run. Now, usually, if I'm going to go for like a PB, I would not throw an egg at that box this early. You would wait until a little bit later to try and throw one while I'm on this train that we're going to be building for us here. But I am going to be taking a lot of safety precautions in this run, because it's not too bad in terms of like how dangerous the run can be, but I prefer to just make sure that I am going to be as safe as possible. Alright, so we are going to be fixing this train. And so with this first level, we're going to be getting all of the flowers and all of the... we'll be getting the extra flowers based on the amount of coins that we get, and also by the amount of health that we have. But let me just fire this shot off here, and... Alright, there's one of them. Now, this point here is when you would usually want to try and throw a shot over here, over to that box over there, but I don't want to mess that up, because another aspect of this game that we'll find out very soon after this level is that there is an armor system, in a way, and it's based on the costumes that you can get out of like little gacha machines. And in order to have a roll at one of the gacha machines, you need to have at least 100 coins. So not only do you get the 100 coins in this level so you get an extra flower, but you also have an opportunity to get yourself a costume. And the costume, as I mentioned, is going to act as armor. You get 3 hits of armor for the base level costumes, But there's also higher rarities for some of these costumes, and the higher rarity actually does make a little bit of a difference. The higher the rarity, the more hits of armor you will have. So, we will see what we get in this little costume dispenser. We want to see either the red or the gold, but we'll see how it goes. Some of the higher level. Oh, it's green. Basic. It's fine. We should be fine at just the basic level. So we're going to be wearing a house costume for this run. But I was about to say that some of the very top times, they will go through the entire run without any costume. I don't feel that confident to get through an entire run without it, because there are some sections where I do want to be using damage boosts, and if I was to not have the costume and just take the hit myself, it makes it much harder to actually get the flower for ending a level at full health. So we'll be able to more consistently get those flowers each level. We do have to do a little bit of talking. And we'll get into this next level where there's already, right off the bat, there are going to be a couple of damage boosts that I will be doing in this level. But as for the story of this game, Baby Bowser and Kamek decide to be a bit of a nuisance, kind of messed everything up. You have to go and collect some gems. Very simple. And so we are just going to make our way through this next level, and as we're going through this game, it's just, every time I play it, it's just the music is so nice, it's all very charming, it's all just very cute. Nice, able to get over that. Let me just get another flower here. And honestly, like the way I tend to do the quick input of the jump after putting out the tongue, just so I can keep maintaining that momentum. For people who are familiar with fighting games, I use plinking. That is... What was that shell doing? I don't think I've seen that before. That's very weird, managing to get it stuck there. But here, we're going to get our first little death. Or not death boost, just a damage boost, just so we don't have to worry about getting through that section or waiting for some of those cycles. Alright. So when it comes to the routing for this game and the which flowers you want to be getting throughout the run, it tends to come down to which ones are the easiest to get, like which ones can you put the least amount of effort into, and while still managing to get enough that you need for all of the checkpoints. And this is going to be one of the next little tricks that we get to use, and that kind of tech is going to be used throughout a lot of this game, where you are essentially throwing an egg up against a wall or the ground and having it bounce back and hitting you, and it gives you a bit of a, like, essentially an extra jump. And so that is going to be used quite a bit to kind of skip ahead certain little sections, like we saw right there. Usually you'd have to go all the way around in order to get up to that little section at the top. But because we have some eggs, we get to do a little bit of extra traversal. I remember I showed this off to Sayo last year, and in 3 words, I described this run as egg-based transportation. And you do a lot of egg-based movement in this game. And it's very fun. We get to do some very, very fun skips of certain sections, which allow us to just ignore entire levels almost. There's these sections where it's like, oh, you have to do all of this fancy contraption work. You have to get all these items, or I have to take out all these enemies. Like, I'm just gonna go around them. All right. Ooh, didn't mean to jump that high. Alright, so one thing that's really nice for these timer challenges is that all of those blue coins do count towards our regular coin total, so it makes it very easy to get the coin flower at the end of each level. Alright, so there's another flower here. And we want to... Whoa, that's not where I want to be. Oh, good. Fortunately, you can essentially infinitely hover, but it is not the fastest. If we are going to be like doing an infinite hover, we want to be doing it only in the cases where it is slower to do the like level normally. There are going to be some cases where we're going to be like hovering for like 10-15 seconds straight, and it's it's definitely a time. All right, let's. I was able to get that flower, and very quickly we're going to be coming across our very first mini-boss. And now, when it comes to bosses and mini-bosses in this game, there's a lot of essentially dev-intended quick kills. They give you a lot of opportunity to try and... there we go. Try and take things out as quickly as possible. And even, like, if you go back into a lot of the boss... levels, there are even like speedrun challenges for them. Okay, I missed that one. That was intended to be hitting the octopus the second time around, but turns out I just missed. And I'm just gonna throw I'm just gonna throw all the eggs. It's like, I don't care about timing. I'm just gonna throw all of them. One of them's gonna hit, surely. Alright, so that's the first few levels down. And Shay, this seems like a good time if you have any messages.
We do. We've got an $80 donation from Marduk, which says, good luck with the run, GLP. Happy to support cancer research and get a cozy run to boot. We've also got a $10 donation from Sten, which says, $10 says, Yoshi should be pink. How are we feeling about changing the color?
Fine. We've started early, I see. Oh, now we're gonna have to re-equip the costume, aren't I? That's fine. It's not too much time. We've got more than enough buffer. Right, so yeah, all of these different checkpoints are going to require different amounts of flowers, and it is going to ramp up quite a bit as we go throughout the game, but we should have more than enough, and I'm going to ensure that I'm going to be getting the backups even if I don't feel like I need them, just because I want to be absolutely sure that by the time we get to the very end of the game, we are not going to be a flower or two short and have to go back into another level. I would not want that. Right, coming into this next level, because we have changed our color, we now have to re-equip the costume. That is another thing when it comes to the costume. Once you've taken all the 3 hits, the costume will break, and you have to re-equip it at the start of the very next level. So that is definitely not ideal. Alright, another fun little aspect of going fast in this game, as I whiff right at the top of that, is that when it's never good to be walking up a hill, you want to be jumping up it. You get a little bit slower if you are just slowly, just gradually walking up the hills. It is better to be jumping up them. I very nearly missed that. So that's why you'll often see me jumping at certain sections, just to try and make sure that I... Ooh, extra bump. Like sections like right here. Nice. There are some of the timer challenges which we do not want to be doing because they take way too long. As I said, there are some timer challenges that are fine to do because they don't take too long, and for the investment, well, you're getting, it's a flower, so it's not too bad. Here is Poochie. We are not going to be using Poochie for the most part. Now, how the level wants you to play it is they want you to be riding on the back of Poochie and let them do all of the traversal of doing the big jumps and getting through all of these enemies. We're okay to not for the most part. We will be using, well, we'll be riding on their back for parts of it later on, but for now, we are not going to be doing that just yet. Right, there's a flower here, just pulling the screen up just a little bit, just so I can remember where on earth it was. There are going to be some flowers later on that I'll have to be pulling the screen around just to make sure that it even spawns in the first place. So, yeah, trying to... What are you doing? Right, so we need Poochie to knock this ribbon down for us. I always thought that those Shy Guy were just in the background, so... Not bad. All good, that's why we have the armor, to make sure that even if we do take hits unnecessarily, which I do constantly, it is not going to cost me too much. Now, usually the way that level, well, they want you to end out that level, they want you to bring the ribbon across, bring Poochie across, and let them jump up for you, but again, we've got eggs, we've got transportation, we can get through it without any trouble whatsoever. And now, coming up to the next level, we have our first vehicle level. And, you probably saw something a little strange on the overworld when we're coming into this section, but we'll get to it in a sec. Right here is going to be the them showing you the inverse levels, or the B-sides, essentially, where you get to try and find all of Poochie's lost pups. Unfortunately, we're not going to go and find any of them. They are just going to be left to their own devices, because we're able to get all the flowers that we need just naturally playing through the game. So, yeah, we get to ride a mech. A Yoshi mech. This should be an automatic 100% of this level. I weirdly have some... every now and then, there'll just be some aspects of it that I just mess up. I miss a coin. I bonk into things that make me miss out on certain key things. So, hopefully I don't have too many issues. But this is essentially an auto-scroller, so Shay, if there's any other messages, feel free to hop on in.
We do. I just wanted to point out we have hit $15,000 in donations. We've got $150 from Mikhail, which says, been loving watching all the amazing speedrunners so far. Keep up the great work. We've also got $50 from Cass, who says, I cannot properly convey my love in only 150 characters. So I would just say, good luck, have fun. Wait, sorry, I'll say that correctly. It says, good fun, have fast, go luck.
Incredible, incredible.
Thank you very much.
Right, so with a lot of these levels that have like a point total associated with them, the game is usually very generous, so you can still afford to miss out on some of the points and still be fine to get the 3 flowers necessary. So I usually always have to tell myself I don't have to fiend to try and get all the points. We have more than enough. Make sure I'm just getting the things I need, like that. That box right there is usually the one that gives me the issue, because it's trying to fly away and I'm up. It's right after taking out a whole bunch of trees. Nice. There we go, one trying to get away. There we go. Pulled up a little bit short, and that should be the 100. Well, everything that we need from this level. Alright, that's promising for my own my own mental well-being for this level, to get through that without any issues. Well, a few bonks here or there, but it's not too bad. We got everything we needed, and that's all that matters. One thing I will mention is that when it comes to like the routing of this, I'm still working with a lot of routing from like 5 years ago. As it says on the screen, this game came out in 2019, so the game has been out for about 6 years at this point. I'm still working with a lot of outdated routing, and it was, I think, like 4 or 5 years ago. A couple of the Japanese runners who currently have the number 1s and 2 times, GLPhoenix and BBB, they were going to be doing a race of this at one of the RTA in Japan's, and at the time, the run was at like just over 420, and, well, 420, 220. I'm used to doing 4-hour runs. That's my bad. It was just over 220, but as they were getting ready for that run, they just kept on knocking minutes down from that run. I was like, this is... The amount of optimizations, it's a lot of minor optimizations and just fine-tuning a lot of the routing of the flowers, it was just incredible to the point where they knocked it down to like a 215, 213, something to that effect. But yeah, it's just been... It was wild just watching them just go back and forth over that time period. But yeah, a lot of the optimizations that they were doing in those runs, I won't be doing all of them. But there are some that I will be making sure to do just because they're not too dangerous. Alright, I am going to grab this cloud full of hearts because this is the only checkpoint that we get in this level. And, as mentioned, you want to be getting all of the hearts so you can get an extra flower at the end. There is a way to skip the last chasm at the very end of the level. But I was thinking... I was thinking whether or not I wanted to go for the 100 coin and just forego that, but I'll show you essentially what is done in a lot of the IL for this level. And you do... Yeah, I have enough eggs to do it. Yeah. Alright, so usually the way the level wants you to finish it is you push that minecart all the way back to the top, and you'll just like ride all the way down along this track, which is... we will just fall straight through it. But we have some eggs. We get to just completely skip it. I'm so glad that I managed to get that without any issues. If you do take the minecart though, a whole bunch of extra coins will spawn in, so it does make it much easier to get the 100 coin flower for that. I was like, I wanted to show off that little trick, so might as well forego that one flower because we're able to pick up way more than enough as we go throughout this. Alright. Whistle stop rails. This is the kind of level where that we have a couple of these throughout this run where they're kind of half auto scroller, half building construction, or you have to do a bit of construction work to build the next part of the level. So we are just going to make our way onto this train, and we'll be on this train for a little bit. So Shay, over to you.
Alright, we've got $15 from Dama, which says, only charity could persuade GL out of using the purple colour. Best of luck on the run, GL. And then we've also got $5 from Cass, who says, Phoenix running a Link Yoshi just doesn't look right. Back to purple, please.
Thank you, Cass. And yes, we'll have to switch back on over to the purple. There is one tech that I like doing that is completely useless, but I do it a lot when I'm like in these auto-scroller sections where I'm just waiting around, and that is essentially cancelling out of a ground pound mid-air. There's like very little to no use for it, but I just like doing it because I just have to keep my hands busy the entire time. Alright, so we grab our train tracks that we're picking up. Alright. So one little trick that we get to use is that if we can essentially use these pieces as eggs if we need them to be, but if we want to try and fix the track as we're doing right here, it would usually want us to be standing right in front of it on that little platform right below it in order for us to actually throw the pieces. If we have other eggs, it will always default to using the eggs first, unless the game is like, alright, you're in the specific spot to be using these pieces. But if we have no regular eggs and we only have the building pieces, we can throw them at any point. And fortunately, it will allow us to lock onto the areas where we need to actually throw them to fix the track. So we don't have to walk all the way around, stand in front of it, and then throw the pieces. We can just do it from where we get them. There's going to be a few times where that is really helpful, that being one of them. There's a lot of the time where it's not as helpful, but it is nice to have. On this train ride, there's going to be a bunch of rocks that are going to be falling down. But if we stay at the very, very front of the train, the rocks will never hit you. If we stay here, there will be like one rock that can hit you. But if we stay at the very, very front, we will never get hit by a rock. I may get hit by a bat because I just get a little bit complacent. Alright. This Shy Guy has a red coin. When it comes to the red coins in this game, we never usually want to try and get all the red coins in a lot of the levels because a lot of them are in very obtuse sections and they're like really annoying to get. The only times we usually want to get them is in like full auto-scrollers. This is kind of like a half auto-scroller, so they tend to be a little bit more annoying. But there's a lot of levels where some of the red coins are in some of the worst spots and it's just not really worth getting all of them. So we got all the flowers that we need. We got everything except the red coins, which is usually pretty good. Those little care packages that you see just before that goal line, those will always have at least one red coin. So we'll be needing those a little bit later on in some of the levels, but for the most part, we're happy with exactly with that amount of flowers coming out of that level. And coming into this next level... oh wait, first, I just remembered. Thank you, Cass, for the donation to make sure I am using my one true color of... Oh, they're all... We can maybe have all of them wearing the costume. Get to it, people. try and get every Yoshi in a costume. Alright, so, mouses and magnets. This level can either go really, really nicely and cleanly, or I can miss by like a little bit of time, and then all of a sudden everything goes to hell. Like there's a lot of cycle-based stuff, and if you don't get things at the perfect timing, it can get really weird. So let's. Ooh. Jumping off that magnet is very nice. Right, let me just get up here. These Shy Guys with the shields, you can't just eat them normally, so they can be a little bit annoying. Right, these mice right here, these are where some of the issues tend to come in. And it's in these sections right here where we have to knock them down and grab a magnet. That one's fine there, because there's only one magnet. In a little bit, there's going to be a section where there's two magnets, and if we are a little bit slow in getting to the first one, the second one's going to throw the magnet, and then I'm just chasing mice in a little room trying to catch them so I can get the magnets, because I do need both of the magnets. Right. This section is always very satisfying if I can get it right. Like that. Lovely. Now this section right here, and it's very easy for me to mess this up. Like that. No! Get back here. Thank you. Okay, could have been much worse. Usually, you grab the first one and you can essentially just throw the magnet into the second one, so you can make sure that they are not going to be getting away with it, or just throwing them willy-nilly and just playing keep away. But yeah, that is one of the first instances of the essentially a super egg jump, where you can essentially get up to 4 eggs just thrown right below you to just keep on bouncing up higher and higher. So you don't have to worry about doing any of the actual mechanics of the game. And it helps give you a lot of height. There is a little bit of a weird nuance to actually getting the down throw in midair that quickly, because usually... Actually, let me just pull back for a second. The way the game determines where you are aiming is where your control stick is pointed as you are pressing the button to throw an egg. So for us to throw it directly below us, we have to be holding down. The little problem there is, if we're in the air and we press down, it does an immediate ground pound. But if there's a little bit of time, there's just a couple of frames where if you press down and the throw button just quickly or just tightly enough together, you will have the down input held, so it will aim directly below you and allow you to get those jumps like that. If you mess up the timing one way, you can end up just getting a ground pound. If you mess it up in the other way, you can just throw eggs directly ahead of you. Now here comes the first boss. It's a tin can condor. And as the game's name may suggest, it's all very, very crafty, very craft work, it's all very charming. But there's, as I mentioned before, there are going to be quick ways to take care of these bosses. That is not the way. So we need to be attaching this magnet to the condor so we can ground pound on its very pink head. Then we just have to wait while this cycle plays out. There's going to be a segment in here where you see these straws. There are going to be a bunch of mice that are going to be coming out of them. The second mice is always going to have the magnet. And we're going to need to get it as quickly as we can to make sure that we attach it immediately as it makes its way in. And that is essentially the way to skip a lot of nuisance, because while they're flying back and forth, they'll be dropping paper airplanes, and it's just annoying. So it's really nice to be able to just skip all that and just attach the magnet as quickly as possible. There's going to be a lot of quick ways to get through phases of bosses throughout this. And hopefully I don't screw up too many of them. There's been a couple of runs when I've been practicing there where I was just it was not going well. Alright. There we go. Perfect. Alright. Rule of 3. And it is actually important to grab all the coins as quickly as we can, because if you let the coins just sit there, the game will just kind of wait for you to go and grab the coins. So as long as you just grab it all immediately, it will just be like, alright, you got them all, time to move on. And that is our first boss done, the first gem that we've grabbed. So that's a good time for Shay to pop on in.
Alright, we have a $5 donation from Kessin Chu, which says, I support pink Yoshi's rights, but purple Yoshi is fine too, less than 3. Good luck to all runners, especially GLP. Cheers from Brazil.
Thank you. Alright, so now this is going to be the section where there's going to be a bunch of different paths. You can see all these different angles that we can go. We're just going to go the top path, the bottom path, and then the middle path. The one kind of downside of doing it the way we are going to have like a bunch of auto-scrollers like in a rather small amount of time. Just as a bit of a side effect of the pathing that we do with this. But on the plus side, it does give me a chance to just chill. Theoretically, because even though like they are auto-scrollers, I do have to be like paying attention. Come on. Alright, so this level is rather straightforward. It's mostly cycle-based with these flowers. With that one, I like to jump up really high, because just in case I mess up the timing and end up ground pounding, just gives me more than enough time to actually save myself and not throw myself into the abyss. But fortunately, it's perfectly fine. Alright, I'm not going to bother with these timer challenges. There's another one here. This last section, the back half of this level, it's fairly straightforward. Again, I'm not really going to bother with these timer challenges. Bouncing off that Shy Guy gets us onto the top of those moving platforms. A little bit of hover. We should be able to... There's a flower in there. We don't have to go in there. We can just throw an egg to grab it. Whoop. That may have... Now we're fine. Should have enough coins easily. One thing that's also nice is that if you're just a little bit under the 100 mark, as long as you have a bunch of eggs, at the end of the level, all those extra eggs will just get transferred into money. So if you're just a little bit below, as long as you have eggs, you're usually fine. Alrighty, now for the first real, just full-blown auto-scroller. And it's essentially a shooting gallery in a way. We just have to eliminate a whole bunch of Monty Moles. There's a lot of them. And hopefully, also get all the red coins, get a bunch of standing flowers, also make sure we have all our health. As you can see in the backboard, we need to get 75 to get all 3 flowers for this. So, yeah, Shay, if there's anything you want to bring up?
Yes, we have got a $30 donation from Aggie, which says, this is to help cover Layla's swear jar. And can we have Pink Yoshi again?
Alright, so we're going back to pink after this, I guess?
Yeah, we're going back to pink.
Wonderful. I mean, I did say, it's... I am very easily convinced by money. One thing that is nice about a lot of these auto-scrollers is that you don't have to feel too rushed because the game gives you a lot of time to make sure that you're able to get everything in just the one run. You don't have to like rush to try and get things on or like sequence break or anything, because the game's not like, oh, we want you to be doing these levels multiple times in order for you to get everything that you need. It's like, well, some of them you can, but you don't have to. The game gives you the time and space to be able to get everything that you need, every single flower, over the course of a single level, or a single run of a level. That still counts. You don't have to actually eat them. You can just knock them down. So this in the back. Alrighty. There's one coming through here. Whoop. Now, one way in which the game will tell you, or implicitly tell you, that there are red coins in amongst a bunch of gold coins is that you can see at the very bottom, some of them are spinning on a different axis. One of them was golden, one of them, or some of them are red. And that is essentially the game's hint to let you know that there are red coins here. There are going to be some sections later on where it's not as clear because there's like some obfuscation of the coins, but for the most part, that is a good rule of thumb to just keep an eye out on. Is like, and that's one of the things when it comes to these kind of games is like, how are you supposed to know where some of these things are? Like, there's going to be some sections where we're just seemingly going to just random parts of the level to activate some of the clouds so that we can get either coins or flowers. And so sometimes there are hints, sometimes you're just like, it looks like a good enough spot to put a to put a flower. Big Monty Moles. This is the ground pound cancels I was telling you about before. There's really not much use to it, but I find it fun to do. Alrighty, and that's that level taken care of. And we can go and switch back to using Pink Yoshi, I guess. Yeah, see, there's way more than enough points in a level that the game gives us access to, so you're not really needing to fret too much about whether or not you're going to be able to get the 3 necessary for it. Alright, so quickly. Let us switch back on over to pink. Thank you so very much for the donations. Oh, not blue. Not blue. As we were getting set up, I was looking at these loading screens. I was like, I probably should just run this on Switch too, huh? So this is on the original Switch. I have not checked whether or not things are indeed faster on Switch 2. I imagine a lot of the loading screens would be, but that is probably going to be something that I'll check out or try and or have a look into after this event. But there's a bunch of games that I have been speedrunning on the Switch 2 that I used to run on Switch 1, namely Pokemon Sword and Shield being one of the main ones, and things are a lot faster. So I would imagine that even just a little bit of an upgrade to the loading screens for a game like this, and as you can see, like the loading screens going into levels, outer levels, if you just speed them up just a little bit, that is probably going to save a lot of time over the long run. So definitely something for me to look into at a later date. Alrighty. Dino Smash. Now, while in this level, while we have this dinosaur head attached to us, we can't actually throw eggs. We can't eat anything. It just bumps right into the inside of the mask. So we just have to do the best we can without it. We should be able to get the 100 coins without the need for that box in the back. Alrighty, so have to wait for this little guy, a little mask, to drop our mask back down. And one little byproduct of running into a checkpoint while you have full health is that you will get a big influx of coins. So that is why I'm not too worried about... Ooh. Come on. That is one thing that happens quite frequently, is that I feel like I'm on solid ground, I try and jump, turns out I'm not on solid ground, I end up just doing a flutter, and as you can probably tell, using the flutter, it's not the most... It's rather time intensive over the course of a full run, as we have... Yeah, we're at 97, and as I mentioned, as long as we have some eggs behind us, we'll be able to transfer these into coins and get the 100 coin flower at the end of it. Nice. Alrighty, so coming to this next level, I know it's been quite a while since we've had one. It's time for another auto-scroller. But it's going to be a little bit different. As you can see in the background, there is a big dinosaur, and you can probably see in that little icon, there's a dinosaur that's going to be chasing after us. But yeah, it's going to play out quite similarly to the other autoscroller, the Monty Mole one. Instead of having to knock out a whole bunch of Monty Moles, we're just having to run for our life. So, Shay, this is your moment to shine as we just make our way through here.
We don't have any colour donations at the moment. I just want to say thank you to some of our sponsors though. We've got Gigabyte, who is our major sponsor for ASM 2025. So for those who in Australia who donate at least $50, you'll go into the running for one of two 32-inch Gigabyte MO32U monitors. These are two of our grand prizes you can win during the event, and for all details go to prizes.ausspeedruns.com.
Awesome. So yeah, as per usual, as I mentioned, the game gives you more than enough time to make sure that you're able to get everything that you need over the course of a single run of a level. That box in the back to get that red coin, and specifically to get the red coin. We don't need this coin, but I feel compelled to get all the coins that I can, because why not? The game allows me. have all the health that we need. We should have all the coins that we need. Well, we'll get there. Well, we will be getting the rest of the red coins at the very end. And this is a level where my habit of just doing ground pound cancels sometimes comes back to bite me, because if I mess it up and accidentally break through one of those blocks that I actually need to get up to a certain section, it's a little bit of a whoopsie, but I need to contain myself from just mindlessly doing this, because that happens, and yeah, then I have to kind of readjust, use some eggs to climb back up. Alright. Bust our way down. As we get the last chase sequence. Grab all these red coins. The momentum after bouncing off those balls can be a little bit weird. Fortunately, I'm able to get everything we need. And we got all the coins, all the flowers, all the everything that we need. And boom. That's the level taken care of. Alrighty. Alright, so moving on to this next section. This next little group of levels, it's like one of my favorite, sandwiched between two of my least favorite. So we'll see how it goes. At least favorite in terms of as essentially IL strats, which I can essentially do a lot of this IL strats in this. There's a lot of levels where like you kind of don't want to be doing the IL strats, because you do need to still pick up a whole bunch of flowers. As you can see, we have a lot of them, and we're going to be burning through a lot of those flowers pretty quickly as we get through all these extra checkpoints. Because each of these little essentially biomes, they all have a checkpoint attached to them, and you have to spend flowers to get to them, so it adds up. And we'll still be needing to get a lot more over the course of this run. So, a little bit earlier in the run, we were piloting a mech. Now, we're just a pilot. We get to fly a plane, and it is going to be essentially another auto-scroller, so Shay, you know what that means.
We don't have any new donations at the moment, but I just want to remind everyone that in addition to donating, the Twitch revenue we receive throughout the event will also be given to Game on Cancer. So that includes bits and subs to AusSpeedruns channel as another way to support Game on Cancer.
Awesome. So, as you can see, we control the plane by moving forward and backward on it to move it up or down. It can be a little bit fidgety, to say the least. It always feels very wonky for me at times. So hopefully it's all gonna go just fine. There's been every now and then I'll just miss out on just a red coin at some points. They just kind of disappear, but it should be fine. I've got all of them here. And similarly with the Monty Mole, we don't have to, well, we're going to be having more than enough points on offer for us, and we don't have to directly take out the balloons just by taking out the shy guy holding onto him. You do get credit for it. I'm just going to be bouncing on this guy for a little bit, and the reason for that is, by eating one of those big guys, you get a full refill on all of your eggs, and I was just having them there as a bit of a precaution. It's like, if I was a little bit haywire with some of those shots, it's like, I have some backups ready to go. Alright, it's usually a section coming up where I miss one of the red coins, but we don't need to be bouncing on this one. Alright, let's get rid of you. We're fine on... Ugh. We are fine on gold coins, well above what we need. Again, we only need 100 to get the flower. But I like to grab extras just because what else am I going to do with my time here? Alright, so yeah, we just need one more red coin. It's going to be in one of these. There we go. Now we'll have to make an egg shot between a bunch of propellers. My usual strategy is find the right height and then just let them rip. Like that. It's more of a brute forcing method. It works. Until it doesn't, when I end up using all my eggs and just completely whipping, and then I just have to wait a cycle to get more eggs brought to me, but fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. Alright. Another of the vehicle levels down, and that is a bunch of the auto-scrollery levels taken care of for the time being. There's like a couple later on, but they're not too bad, and the spacing is a little bit more generous between them, but there's a bit of a slower section to the run, but this next level I find very, very enjoyable in terms of just like hitting a lot of cycles when it comes to like enemy movement patterns, and just like lava plumes and trying to get around them. But we will be able to do some fun things as we are going to get a couple of eggs that we need so we can get that one, and we're going to use a little bit of a damage boost just to make sure that we get the egg without, or get the flower without taking any damage. Get that flower as well. We want to hold on to at least one egg here so we can actually get up this ledge right here. Again, we see Poochie. The game wants us to be using Poochie to be jumping up all these higher, up these tall, big ledges, but again, we've got eggs. We have the means to ignore that. There are flowers like that, which you just saw, which are like very visible on screen right in front of you, but unfortunately, they're not particularly quick. Alright, so we do have to do a little bit of an infinite hover. And we have the eggs to get past that. Lovely. Now this section right here is very satisfying because I can just like hold right for the most part. I do have to... I let go of it a little bit too quickly and landed on that fire, but it's fine. Now this section we will be riding on Poochie. Go my steed. We're going to be grabbing the coins. Because it is better to just ride on Poochie instead of having to do the infinite hover. As I mentioned before, you only really want to be doing the infinite hover if it is going to save you time compared to doing the level normally. It most definitely would not. For that kind of distance, you just go with Poochie. He takes care of it for you. There's going to be a few sections like that later on where we will want to just ride on Poochie because he gets through those sections much quicker than us just like slowly hovering endlessly. Although there will be some sections where we, like early in that level, where we did have to do a bit of hovering on our own.
Now, before you start the next level, we've got a $50 donation from New Timothy, which says, "Been enjoying this run and this event as a whole. However, it's missing the very important Yoshi of the yellow variety. Could you perhaps change that?"
I can do that. Yes, I can do that very quickly. We can go to the... Was it yellow?
Yellow, yeah.
Yellow Yoshi. Okay. Thank you for the donation. Oh, I need to equip the costume. I need to remember to equip the costume every time we go to a new color. And one thing I'm finding out, every time you go into that menu, they're in different places. So I'm just having to pay attention to where they are. I was like, I'm not used to having to do that. Alright, Windward Way. This level can be a bit of a pain at times, and it's mostly because of these little bird enemies that are coming across. I know there's a specific name for them, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name of these enemies. I just know that they are really annoying. These things. I'm just gonna eat them. It just makes it easier. I don't have to worry about it. Alright. A little bit slower. Whoop. Oi. Get back here. Alright, cool. That was not how I wanted that to go, but we survived. Alright, we should be able to get enough coins. And it is very much helped out by the fact that we do get a coin-based timer challenge to add to the total. There is going to be another timer challenge here that we are going to do, because all it is just throw an egg at the smiling flower. There's a lot of very angry flowers, but I should be fine with that. This timer challenge, we do not want to do. That one takes way too long. And I'm just not a fan of doing it. There's a lot of the timer challenges in this where they're just annoying. Alright. It's gonna be one more flower for us to grab. It's gonna be a hidden cloud. You could tell it was there because there was a ring of coins around it. And easily have enough coins for that one. Alrighty. So yeah, there's only like, I think, one other level that we have to deal with those little birds. And it's like much later in the game, so we don't have to deal with them for too much. Which is good for my sanity, I'll say. Alright, we go up. After these next two levels, we'll be then having our second main boss. And, yeah, they're not too bad. The bosses aren't too bad. I do enjoy a lot of the designs of just all of the bosses in this. And also the way the fights are. I find them quite interesting. And I just keep on saying it, this game is just very charming. Which is why I always enjoy getting to show it off. Alright, so this next level, there's going to be a whole lot of sections where they want us to be moving around all these anchors, acorns, to try and mess around with all of these balancing, all these scales. But we're going to ignore a lot of it. We're not going to be getting too many flowers out of this level. Alright, so there's going to be, you can see all that in the back, but if we just use an egg, we can just ignore that entire section. And we can drop this down ourselves and grab that flower just by throwing an egg at it. And that is kind of what I was talking about, where the game wants you to be using acorns to weigh down some scales in order to do various things in this level, but we have ways around that. Whoa. Not going to bother with that timer challenge. We are going to have to be doing a little bit more construction. We have to grab a few pieces, which are going to be in like a little background section, but we have a way to speed that up, and that is by not going the usual path, and we just use an egg to jump up here, and we take the back path. And there we go, we've got our 3 pieces. And now we get to make a bus stop. And as we wait for one of the cutest moments in the game, Shay, if you have any messages.
No new donations have come in, but I do want to say we do have several prizes to give away for those who donate. Anyone who donates at least $20 will automatically go into the running to win one of our Steam game bundles. For all the information, head over to prizes.ausspeedruns.com. I just want to say that if I donate $10, can you change it, Yoshi, to green?
I most definitely can, yeah.
I'm not gonna send a donation in and read out my own donation,
Yeah, feel free.
but
feel
I
free.
will put in $10 for a green Yoshi.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do that after this level. Alright, so even though we're only at 60 coins currently, there are way more than enough coins at this very last section that we should be able to get to the 100 that we need. Yes, 101. Yeah, as you can see, we didn't really get too many flowers in that one because a lot of them are in like those background sections or just timer challenges that take a little bit too much time, so we don't bother with those. But, thank you to Shay, we get to go back to using green. Good old classic Yoshi. Where are you? There. We'll see how many of them we can have in in the costume by the end of this. Alrighty. This next level has some curious flowers for me to try and pick up. There's going to be one section where I'm going to have to try and do a bit of an awkward shot, egg shot while midair. And hopefully I can grab this monkey. Nope, don't get the monkey. Fine, I'll grab one of your friends. We do want to grab a monkey for a little bit. Come on, hello, please. Yeah, there you go. Hello. Oh! I'll grab it back up. We'll be fine. That's why I mentioned that it's going to be good to have a lot of backups in case things like that happen where I just don't have the eggs that I need and I just do a little bit of a whiff. Sometimes that just happens. Alright, and the reason why we have the monkey, we're just going to hold right. We're going to have him help us grab a flower right here. Thank you. Going to use that egg to get up there. Give me another one. Give me another. Thank you. There goes the monkey. Alright, we should have a couple for this last section. There's going to be one flower that we want. Through there. Kind of crack that open. Smack that one piranha so we can actually have a much safer jump to get that last flower. We're going to knock this bowling ball to break this rubble in the way. And there's the final goal. Alrighty. One thing about the routing of flowers in this is that I should be keeping in mind how plus or minus I am to where I should be at. But I'm just like, I just gonna grab all of them that I can. And make sure that I have a nice surplus of flowers so I don't run into any issues later on. And there's gonna be some levels where they're gonna be much easier backup flowers to grab than others. Yeah, we are just going to be getting into our second major boss fight. And the way in which this boss has a intended fast way of skipping through cycles or certain phases, it's going to be quite interesting because I do have to be a little bit, well, I have to be paying attention just a little bit to where I'm throwing my eggs. Because the way in which this is going to work Spike is going to be throwing a bunch of spiked balls, and also going to be throwing a bunch of Shy Guys at us that we can actually use for ammunition. So we are going to have just enough with 1, 2, 3. I'm going to hit the one at the top. Alright, so all we need is one more egg and we'll be able to get through everything that we need to. We just jump over these waves. And after this section, they're going to be putting two vines at the left and right of the screen. We want to throw an egg at the one that isn't shooting. And the reason for that is, by destroying one of them, doesn't matter which one, it will cancel the phase early and cause them to jump on in. But if I destroy the vine that is currently shooting out things a little bit too early and I don't get the Shy Guy thrown out at the end, I won't have an egg for this last section right here, and I would have to wait an extra cycle. Alright, so just have to wait for him to pop on up. There we go. Spike taken care of. Get rid of all the coins. And that is our second boss taken care of. Get our second gem. Second of... Try to think how many there are. There's like 6 or 7. I completely forget how many there are. Alright, so now we start on this lower path. Trying to think. This, I do really like these next few levels. Not just aesthetically, but also some of the strategies that we get to use to get some of the flowers as quickly as we can, and getting through some of these sections. There's a lot of fun movement that we get to do. Or at least hopefully get to do if I'm doing it correctly. Especially in that third one on the right. We get to do a whole bunch of those very big egg boosts. We get to do a couple of them. But until we get to that, we are just going to be doing some good old-fashioned movement. Alrighty, so we jump, grab this Shy Guy. Bounce off you. Should get us up, never mind. Didn't give us enough of a bounce. There's another one. The game essentially wants you to like balance the scales so you can gives you enough height to get the jumps, but we've got eggs. Want to be going up from here. Oop. That's what I mean by if you slightly mistime it, you end up throwing in a completely different direction, or I am actually going to take this. Again, usually wouldn't take this timer challenge because as you can see, it does take a little bit of time, ironically. But considering I have missed a couple of things, just want to make sure that I'm not going to be getting into the later sections of the game and wondering why I'm down like a few flowers. Ooh, we're fine. Alright, so we do want to jump up with an egg boost here. But we want to be doing it the platform before. It would have been quicker to do it at the second platform, but by going to that second platform, what would happen is you would spawn a whole bunch of these ghosts that are going to be flying on from the side, and they will just get in the way and just interrupt some of the eggs and kind of just make it a little bit tougher to actually get the full boost that you need. So just take it a little bit earlier, do a little bit of flutter to make sure that we get an unobstructed path. Alrighty. So this next level, we get to see Poochie again. As we go through some jelly? It's purple. It's jelly, jello, fondant, something. as it says. It's the sweet run, so it's all sweets related. So we've got caramel, we've got macarons, we've got wafers, waffles, cupcakes, and a lot of sweet related things, but we're not here for any of that, as we use eggs to knock down some of these blocks. We're going to bounce off this. It doesn't bounce. Whoa, come on, up we go. Alright, so for the first part of this, we don't necessarily need Poochie to help us get through, but we will be utilizing them later on. Well. Alright, so with this section here, we do want to just bump into these. We can't actually eat these because they are apparently metallic, and we just bounce right off them. It is easier, or it is better to just walk into them. If you try and jump into them, you'll get knocked further back. So it is better to just walk into them, just get stumbled a little bit, and then just keep on walking through them, because you have some iframes. Drop that down so we get an extra flower that's off to the side. Alright, another. I said, there's another flower from the timer challenges. Usually, those enemies are not a good enough cycle for me to make it through it as cleanly as that, but fortunately, well, partly because I ended up slightly messing up the first shot. Alright, we're just going to wait for these to drop because this cloud right here has another flower. And we're going to wait. We'll say hello to Pooch again, and this time we are going to ride on. Go forth, my steed. We are going to do this time challenge because we're already just waiting. Pooch is going to hold on to that for us. We'll give it to us at the very end once we've broken the gold tape. As we are going to have to make a jump to grab that one. And funnily enough, further IL for this level, there's like 3 different people with the exact same time, because like it is very much standardized at the very end there. You just get on Pooch and just let him do his thing. It's hard to actually gain too much time in that level. So there's, I think, 3 people with the exact same time at the very top there, which I think is quite funny. Alright, this level here has a lot of fun movement. And by fun movement, I mean I get to do like a whole bunch of egg boosts. Hopefully, I don't just yeet some eggs into Narnia, because that does tend to happen sometimes, where I just slightly mess up the timing. Yeah, we do need to be maxed out on eggs. We use that to get up to this. Now we're fine. Alright, so far so good. We do some swing on the vines. We get another flower by taking the high path. And with all these coins, we should most definitely get the 100 coin flower. Refill on eggs because we need to be doing another boost. Yep. Right here. Yep. Again, okay to take the hits just because we've got the armor to keep us safe. And when those platforms are like flipping forward, if you ground pound at the right time, you'll just like phase through them. If people are familiar with Mario 64 speedrunning and doing that to Thwomp, the big thwomp, or any of the thwomps really, it's essentially the same thing. You just kind of face through them while you're doing the ground pound animation. We're going to be doing that here. As we try and get up high as we can. Alright, come back over here. I'm just going to grab this one quickly. It actually wasn't until recently that I realized that the spawn, that flower only really spawns in if you like get close enough to it horizontally. So there's been many times where I'm just like throwing eggs from the other side of the screen, trying to hit it just like slightly off screen, but everyone's like, why isn't it not hitting? I'm aiming directly where it is, and turns out it just wasn't even spawned in. I was like, oh well, my bad, I guess. But I just went there just to grab it, just to make sure. What do we have next? I think it's circus? Yes. Alright, this bunch of levels, they're interesting. This next one, the Pinwheel Shuffle, there's some rather peculiar timings and shots, mid-air shots that I have to do if I want to get some of those flowers. Alrighty. Did I say Pinwheel Shuffle? It's Spinwheel Shuffle. It's close enough. We also will want to be doing a bunch of just endless fluttering because, again, it is quicker than doing the level normally. Because the way the game wants you to traverse this level is by just like spinning the wheels in order to get them to move. Alright, so... Missed the shot. That is where one of the flowers is. That's fine. I kind of forgot that I needed more eggs in order to make this faster, but we're fine. Come on, man. I'm trying to think how many... I don't have too many eggs here. Well, this is unfortunate. I'm just gonna have to do this normally because I underestimated the amount of eggs that I had. Oh well. Come on, man. At the very least, by going through a checkpoint, you do heal up all of the damage that you have on your armor, so that works, I guess. Yeah, this level can sometimes just give me a lot of issues for no reason, just if I'm slightly off in some way or another. We're just gonna write bullets, I guess not. 1, 2... We're doing a little bit of struggling, but we're getting through it. We're getting the things we need, that's all I can hope for. Where are we at on the timer? Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Alright, so this next level is the Haunted Mansion, I do believe. The Haunted Maker Mansion. There's a whole bunch of flowers that we can pick up in this one. And hopefully, the patrols aren't going to be too much of a nuisance because there's some sections in this where there are some sentries that will patrol, and if they catch on to you, they can be very annoying. They just kind of chomp down on you and force you back. Alright, we're going to just throw an egg just to open the door a little bit quicker. Pop up on the chandelier. Jump off that chair. The key is going to be behind the ghost. These are the sentries that I'm talking about. Just wait for them to show up. Alright, so we should be able to just come up here with it thanks to an egg. And we have to come up here because there is a key that we need to open up the next door. Give them a sec. I can jump, I swear. There's another flower up here. There is an egg throw that you can do if you're just like standing right underneath it, but I haven't practiced that all that much. And this section, there's a way that you can actually clip underneath under these stairs, so that if you were right underneath it or at just the right spot, you would just knock down the stairs and it would just like phase through you and you would just be standing on the stairs. But I take it the slightly safer path by just smacking an egg off the roof. And it doesn't matter the angle that the egg is coming back towards you in order to get the bounce off it. It just matters that you make contact with it. That is why, even though I threw an egg up and it bounced down and hit me essentially on the head, it still made me jump upwards. We don't really get to use that kind of tech all that much because very rarely are we needing to bounce an egg off the roof. It's usually off a wall or the ground. Those are like the most common times we're going to be using these eggs. Alrighty, the hoop jump is kind of auto-scrolly. It's just like a timer challenge. So, Shave, do you have any messages?
No new donations have come in, but I just want to say we have several donation incentives over the course of this marathon. To put money towards one of these incentives, mention it in the comment section on Tiltify when making your donation. So just letting you know, if you change the color of Yoshi in your donation, it won't... it's completely separate, we're doing in this run. It's just something that GLPhoenix would like to do for fun. So if you put in a color for Yoshi and then put in your incentive, it will all of that will go towards whatever incentive you like.
Yeah, the Yoshi color thing was something I only kind of thought of like over the last few days. I was like, oh yeah, I probably could do that, huh? I was looking at the color select and I was like, oh yeah, I could just... Yeah. So here we are. With this level, you can see having to jump through all these hoops and you get points. The amount of hoops that are available on this level, like I've been saying a lot that the game is rather generous with the amount of points that there are in the level. This is like one of the exceptions. You can miss one of the hoops. And we chose to miss one of the hoops that is very much out of the way. So we get everything else except that one hoop that's off in a corner somewhere. And it gets us exactly the 15 grand. 44. I should be paying attention to how much I should be at each checkpoint, but I usually only pay attention to the amount that I'm needing until I get to like the last couple of checkpoints. Like to get through the final 2 checkpoints, I need to have a total of 45, but we still have a whole bunch more of the run to get through before we get to that point. This next level is going to be where I'm going to be grabbing a whole bunch of extras just to have a little bit of an extra buffer to help us out. Because we've been missing a couple of them here or there due to some wayward shots. But then again, we have also been picking up a couple of extras along the way as well. So it's a bit of a push and pull with the amount of flowers that I'm getting in this one. But this level, we can actually get all of the flowers in this level and not be too... each of the flowers aren't like too much of a detour. Although one of them does require me to have all of the... like a full stack of eggs, and we have to scroll screen up just so it spawns in. That is one of the few flowers where we have to scroll the screen just so an egg will spawn in. Alright. This is also going to be another one of those kind of half auto scrollers. And I swear, this is useful tech. Not for this part of the level, but it is going to be useful at some point. Just not necessarily here, I just do it because I like to spam the buttons. Alright, cool. That's enough of that. In this next section, we are going to, again, have to get a bunch of materials so we can rebuild a certain thing. This time, it's going to be rebuilding a boat. Alright, so we are going to come down here. There is another. Just gonna pop that. I'm not going to use all my eggs because I do need some. Another one here. How many do I have? Yeah, I have enough to get all of them. Just right down here, we have a whole bunch of crabs. And in order to take out the crabs, you have to hit it with one egg to get rid of the bubble armor, the bubble shield, essentially. And then another to actually take it out. Nice, grab that piece off screen. Little plunges. And we can try and get a good shot between them all. I said between them all. There is just enough space to be able to get an egg shot to go right between the crab in that little ledge, but fortunately, kind of missed it a little bit. But it's fine. Able to get all of our pieces together. Get another boat going. Whee! And yes, that puff of wind does knock you around. Right, so for most of this isn't all that necessary to be spamming the ground pound to get all these shots off as quickly as we can. The very last section of this, where there's going to be a big boat, it's going to take multiple hits to actually break it, and the game will, well, the level will just like stop and wait for you to take it out. So it is beneficial to be spamming the shots. So it's one here, and then. And there we go. Got all the flowers on the level. Except the red coins, because again, the red coin flowers are the ones that I don't know why they were putting some of those red coins where they are, but hey, it makes for some interesting exploration when you're playing through it casually. But nah, we're not about that. For the most part. Alright, this next level has another section where we are going to be wanting to do like the endless flutter to get across a section that is quicker than doing the level normally. And hopefully I don't screw up, because there's some water jets and some fish that can sometimes make it a little bit awkward. Or they can just get in the way and knock you around and kind of throw off the rhythm. But for the most part, this level is pretty straightforward. These penguins, however, we can't actually turn them into eggs. Come on, give me the eggs. But we do have some use for these penguins. There is a very, very minor time save that I haven't been able to get in quite some time. It's a very particular thing that you can do. Where you can try and spit it out and jump off it at the same time to essentially simulate an egg jump. But it's a very particular timing and things going on. Right? I've been messing up that throw for quite a bit, so I'm very happy that it took just one throw to get that. So the way the game wants you to get through this section is to roll that ball into a hoop, and then just like ride that all the way through this section. But we're just going to do this. feel like I'm dropping down a little bit too low. Grab the penguin and we'll grab the flower. Nice. Whoop. Whoop. That's a bit of a weird. Yeah, running into the penguins that doesn't do damage, but it does kind of knock you around a bit and it gets a little bit awkward. And we'll find out, we'll hopefully not find out in the next level, which is going to be the next boss fight. Alright, we get a whole bunch of coins. And we have just enough coins. Well, I was going to say just from the eggs, but now there's a few coins at the end there to finish that off. That's a level. Alrighty. Time for the next boss fight. Yeah, we're doing alright. I was just thinking, like, even in a lot of my practice runs even in the runs where things weren't going all according to plan, things were going a little bit haywire, it was very tough for me to go over that estimate that I have set of the 230, so I'm pretty confident, even with all of the detours to switch the colors and all that, I'm pretty confident that we'll be fine. Alrighty, so now our next boss fight is going to be the beach ball bird. Also, Yoshi talking is one of the cutest sounds. Alright. So coming into this boss fight, there's going to be more of those penguins that are going to be utilized, and we're going to be utilizing them to try and knock Bert around. And hopefully knock them into the water so we can ground pound them. And as expected for a lot of these kinds of games, the rule of 3 is in full effect. Alright, just gotta call in the boys. Bonk 1, bonk 2, and we want 1 to hold on to for the time being. Because in order to get the essentially a phase skip in this, there's going to be a thing he's going to do right after this, where he's going to essentially force himself into that staggering animation off the end, like so. And if we hit him with the penguin, it's going to send him in. I'm going to bonk him again. Alright. Fine. He's going to send in a bunch. Way. There's a bit of a weird space for that one. Don't get knocked by that. And that is the boss fight taken care of. I think that's a good opportunity for Shane. If you have anything you would like to mention?
No new donations have come in, but just reminding everyone that we are raising money for Game on Cancer this year for ASM 2025, a charity which funds early career cancer researchers who are working across all areas of cancer research to make this the last generation to die from cancer. If you'd like to donate, you can go to donate.ausspeedruns.com.
Awesome. Alright, now coming into this next section is going to be, I think it's the Ninja-rama, I think it's what it's called. It shows up on the screen at some point. I've kind of just done this game so much that I just kind of blank out a lot of the story, a lot of the dialogue. I'm just like, I'm just pressing buttons and just getting through things. We'll see how. Yeah, it is the Ninja-rama. Right, this level has some pretty interesting some tech to get some of the flowers, but hopefully it all goes according to plan. And again, we're going to be utilizing a lot of the egg jumps. And some of these doors. We get up here early so we can get this flower. Those ninja stars that they are flinging, they will hurt us. Can I please? There we go. That section gives me some weird issues at times. Just some of the eggs want to go in all sorts of different directions, but I should get through there fine. Oh, there we go. I was just making sure you knew that they in fact do damage when you get hit by those stars. Alright, turn this door, we turn it back. Because we need to go down here and grab this key. And we want to go behind door number 3, because there's a spring. No. No. Try that. Ever play games and they just inexplicably just kind of forget how to press the buttons that you've been doing for so long? It's kind of how it felt then. I was like, I'm sure I know how to do this. Sometimes the hands just decide to go on vacation for a little bit. But it's fine, we got through there. We almost broke the costume, which would have been a little bit silly, but it's fine. We got enough of the flowers there. And now I believe we are into our next auto-scroller, and it is one of the most auto-scroller of auto-scrollers. And I was talking about earlier where the game will make it quite clear in like a bunch of coins whether or not there are red coins there or not, just based on how they're rotating on like a different axis, like some of them are rotating the other way. You don't really get to see that when they are behind the shogi. So you just gotta know with this level. We should be able to get every single one of the flowers out of this level, including the red coins, because auto-scrollers give you more than enough time and space to be able to get every single one of them. There is a cloud here, which is one of those clouds which is a little bit... it's a little bit less obvious that there's going to be one there, but again, it's one of those things where you kind of need to know. I mean, there's probably some hints somewhere, or some clues that that is where things are going to be, but... Alrighty. Red, red, red. Where are you? Every time I go through these levels, I'm just like, it feels bad to leave one of the blocks up or one of the gold coins up, even though like I don't need them all. I don't have to get them all, but it just, And I don't even need any more of these hearts. I'm already full up, so I should be fine. It's not going to stop me from trying to get all of them. Ooh. Alright, there's one flower up here.
Since it looks like we've got time,
Yeah.
I'll just throw in a couple of donations. We've got $25 from New Timothy again, which says, putting in more money for a good cause and to bring back the yellow Yoshi again. Best of luck to the rest of the run as well.
Thank you. I can take care of that after this level. Ooh. There's a red coin. Where are you? Is there one? There you are. Alright, there's some red coins here, and the box that is in every level is right there. And we need that to get that last red coin. Well, I say last. There's going to be a few more in this last section. But we need to get all these blue coins for the timer challenge. Yoshi gets very excited when you get all of the flowers in a level. Throw one there. Break that cloud so you can get these red coins to spawn. And all of the red coins that are in this last little section are all on the top row. So we don't have to worry about dropping down into the second or third row to try and get those coins, because the only ones you need are at the very top. So now we have everything that we need to finish the level. There we go. Just have to wait for the level to play out. That's... we got to auto scroll away. We just take our time. It's a dragon. It was just a single Shy Guy with a bunch of materials. Alrighty. I would like to say that that is the last of the auto scrollers, but that's actually not. There's another one a little bit later on. But it is, at least some of the later ones are a little bit more interactive. And with a lot of that level just being behind behind the shogi, you do tend to not really tend to see a lot of it, which is a little bit of a shame, but... Alrighty, the Shogun's Castle. This one has some rather annoying flowers to try and get, but if I can get it first try, I'm going to be very happy, because there's a very specific shot that we can do that we don't really get too much time to actually make it, but if we get it...
Did you forget to
very,
change
very
to
fun.
Yellow Yoshi?
Oh, the yellow Yoshi. Oh. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
I was too locked in. Alright, so... the way this level... well, essentially the gimmick of this level is all of these moving sections. And also these big samurai that are just going to try and get in the way. Ooh. A lot of these platforming sections, or these quote-unquote puzzle sections, where they want us to do a whole bunch of puzzling with all of these movable pieces, we can just use some eggs to get around them, and we don't really have to worry about them. Right, let me just grab a couple of eggs. Alright, let's hop out of here. Spin it again, so we can get a key. Grab a couple of these extra eggs because we're going to need as many as we can for... let's try and get there as quickly as we can. Because if we just walk up against this wall, fire it down, we get the shot. Oh! I was hoping I could just use an egg to jump up and save me a little bit of time, but unfortunately that's not to be the case. But it's fine. At the very least, I was able to get the shot on that flower in that little side room. Usually the way the level wants you to get that is to go in there, wait a little bit for the next cycle to come through, but if you're good enough, you can just go get a good egg shot to take care of it. Ah, I need the eggs. Alright, I would like to have 4 eggs coming to this next section. And I'll be able to get the one more from a Shy Guy that's going to pop out of this pipe. Alright. So instead of going into this and having to do a whole bunch of puzzling, we're just going to ignore it completely. We just spin it around in a very safe place. And now we get into our next mini-boss. And the way to do this, we just have to puzzle our way to get to him, and then we bonk him on the head. 2 of the sections we're going to be able to get to him pretty quickly. This second phase is probably the most drawn out because we do have to actually do a lot of it essentially as intended. The last one we most definitely do not have to do as intended. Again, this is what happens when you leave him around for a little bit too long. Starts bringing in these spiked walls. yeah, this last one, as long as I don't accidentally bump the button. We just use an egg, get up here, we move this along. We say, how's it going? And that's the Shogun taken care of, and I will remember to switch over to the yellow Yoshi. Alrighty. Actually, it's probably better that I waited until after this level, because the way this section is kind of put together, I already have to be coming down to the very bottom of this section, so would have been easier to just do so. So we're going over to the yellow Yoshi. There you are. 4 of them have the costume now. I'm sure we could get more of them in costumes, right? Alrighty. Yeah. Just looking at that timer because just making sure that we're still on pace, and probably gonna be a little bit behind what I'm usually expecting at this point, but hey, it's all for a bit of fun, right? Alright, we get to explore the animal kingdom. There's another section in here where we do have to build another bridge, but fortunately, we get to kind of speed it up a little bit. Well, it lets us help us. Alright, so let's just go up here. We have to go over to the left here so we can aggro this rhino, because we cannot pop these balloons ourselves. That is the cleanest I've done that timer challenge in quite some time, so I'm very happy that it worked out like that. I'm just going to take the hit, doesn't matter because we have a checkpoint right here, and it is going to heal up that hit right away. Again, this is probably one of those levels where it wants you to push that cart a whole bunch to try and get into position so you can get up that ledge, but as per usual, we have ways around that. Use a couple of eggs just to break some of those blocks that we can get through nice and quickly. Alright, there's... Hello? Where are we? There you are. Come on. Oh. So that's what happens when you get eaten by the... Come on. There we go. That is not how I intended that to happen, because I ran out of eggs. Bit of a strange one, but... Alright, so we have this one over here. Unfortunately, it's in a bit of a weird spot, so we can't just kind of get a good shot on it. Throw one down there. Unfortunately, that was an egg. As I mentioned before, we can just build this from all the way over here, and even better is that because there's a little bit of a cutscene attached to this, instead of forcing us to walk all the way back, it is just going to put us right here, because you see us right here. So it is like a 2-for-1 situation where it's really nice to just build a bridge from all the way back there, and we don't actually need eggs for the rest of the levels, so it's just a win-win-win at that moment. Ooh, that was a little bit sluggish. I broke the armor. That is on me. Whoops.
I know we just changed to yellow Yoshi.
Sorry, what was that?
I know we just changed to yellow Yoshi, but we've got a $10 donation from Bragi which says, Been doing great, GL. Blowing it back out the water. Keep up the good run. Let's go for purple again. Love me some purple.
Thank you, Braggy. Let's go back to the purple. It's actually really good because I don't have to re-equip the costume on the yellow because I just picked the purple. Alright, so moving on to our next level. Hopping higher. This one is, I keep on saying, it's an interesting one. There's going to be a snake that's going to be chasing us around, but we can just bonk it away with using some eggs. Like so. And we get all these little frogs. And we get another one of these timer challenges. Again, not too bad of a timer challenge. Ah. Okay, not how I intend that to go, but it works out. Have an egg over here, or a flower over here. And these blocks, we kind of need eggs around to be able to break them because if we can't ground pound them or like jump up into them, we can't actually break them without use of an egg. And usually casually the level wants you to just wait for the snake to break it all for you to open up a path, but we don't have the time for that. Let me not break the armor on this. I've already broken one armor, I don't want to break any more. Right, so amongst all these, there's a nice flower at the end here. Nice. Alrighty. I'm just trying to keep in mind how many more flowers we need. So we're at 39, there's 45 for the last 2 checkpoints. And then there's the one to get to the train boss, and then there's also to get to space. I'm trying to remember how many more I need for those. Ah, we'll get there. We'll have enough. I hope. Alright, so our last of the, well, I say the last of the auto-scrollers. We do have another vehicle level later on, but that's kind of a little bit different, but this is big ol' auto... Get out of the way. I'm trying to hit this thing in the back, but that was just getting in the way. This level always tests me. And fortunately, as this is one of those levels where there's a lot of leniency with the amount of points that are available. So I'm usually not too worried about getting, not too worried about falling short when it comes to the points. Alright, get that red over there. Put it back a little bit so I don't throw these into the back of the main train. There we go. Where am I throwing some of these? There we go. Alright, even though that did go behind there. There we go. Also, Shay, feel free to pop in at any time. I'm just throwing eggs at animals.
Yeah, I was going to say, while we're riding this train, we've got a $25 donation from Space Pigeon Ari, which says, all the love and support for GLPhoenix and the majestic hair. Yoshi's Crafted World is so cozy and fun to watch.
Thank you, Ari. Appreciate that. Thank you for your generosity. I often just don't worry about those monkeys. They come and go very quickly, and it's like, yeah, I've got I've got enough points elsewhere that I don't need to worry too much about it. I do need to worry about these red coins though, because there's only a limited supply of those. Alrighty. Why are all my eggs over here? Sometimes the targeting can be a little bit finicky. I'm just making excuses at this point, but that's what I'm going with. Yeah, I think it's like 8k that I need for the 3. 9 is like way above what I need anyway, so yeah, this is what you can do if you just have enough eggs. You get combos, and it boosts the amount of coins you get for hitting the single piece of terrain. It's nice if you're trying to get a whole bunch of coins. It's not as necessary for us because we're not really worried too much about coins. And that is a little safari taken care of. And now we get to our next boss. And this next boss is probably my favorite of the boss designs in this game. I mentioned it was a train. But you probably noticed that a lot of the bosses have been also tied to like some other thing, like an animal or a plant. So what could you tie in with a train to make an interesting boss? Well, you'll get to see in just a short moment. 20. God, the flower economy. Fortunately, there's a lot of flowers that we can still get over these last 3 seconds. Yeah, it's not too bad. Alright, you see the train in the back there. Now, what is going to pop out of this train to make it a little bit more menacing? Turns out, it is an alligator. Wow. I just find this very fun of a design. The fight can be a little bit annoying in some situations where I'm just getting baited by that they do try and like fake out certain animations, but if you can get some egg shots at the perfect time, you can just beat them out really quickly. But so yeah, what's going to happen is they're going to open the mouth, fire an egg at the engine that's in the mouth. When I was talking about them trying to fake out, they'll like open the mouth real quickly, close it real quickly, and if you can get the shot in at the perfect time when they have it open just that short amount, it's really nice to speed things up. But sometimes it's my timing is a little bit off. I need to calibrate a little bit better at times, but we'll see how we go here. In terms of how to do the dev-intended phase skip, we knock down these signals. Ooh. And that gets through that phase really nicely. Alright, we have enough eggs for us. We can just hover over here while we wait for this next train to come and pick us up. And now we're having to deal with pencils. Well, we have another few rounds of this, and then we have to deal with pencils. Right, and because we do have the armor, I do just fire the shots. We don't care about the timing. We just like brute force that entire situation. It's like, it works. We've got armor. We can just brute force our way through it, and that is going to be the next boss taken care of. Get ourselves another emerald, or another jewel, as we get on into our next section, which has one of the more one of the more difficult skips to try and do in this. There is going to be a large elevator that we want to try and skip, but we have one chance at doing the skip. If we don't get it, we just have to take the elevator normally. You don't really have much room for error when trying to skip the elevator, but we'll see how we go. We do need to have like a full stack of eggs going into it. We aren't really going to be getting too many flowers in this level whatsoever. We're getting like the health flower. And that's about it. But it is time for us to jump on up. Alright. And it is going to require some horizontal boosts and also some vertical boosts when it comes to the eggs. There is a very, very fine gap in between there, which you can try and save some time with, but I keep on messing up the timing on it. Ah! My ride! Come on! Alright. This is the egg. Ooh! Beat that cycle. Nice. Alright, and this elevator is going to be coming up very, very soon. Hopefully. Alrighty. Because I really don't want to have to do the elevator normally. This is just annoying. So this right here, and we can't go back and grab more eggs because it essentially locks the screen. Oh. Ah, damn it. I bonked him at the wrong time. Ah, well, we got most of it. So you do have to go high enough to actually scroll the screen up. And this is what we would have been skipping, this elevator. But because I accidentally bonked into... Where is it? Oh shit, there's a flower there. Oh, forgot about that one. I completely forgot that there was actually a flower in that cloud. I never usually need to because I've invested all of the eggs into the elevator skip, so that helps. Alright, so now we're in space, and as you can probably tell, oh my god. The movement is way too sluggish and floaty and just feels very weird. Yeah, I got most of the way through the elevator skip, just kind of bungled it at the end. I needed to get one of the extra Shy Guy there so I could have an extra egg or two to give it that last little bit over the edge, but ah well. We got to see most of it. And we got an extra flower out of it because I had eggs to spare because I kind of messed up a little bit. So, you take what you can get. Alrighty, riding the stars, there's a decent amount. There's a amount of flowers here that we can pick up. Yeah, at the 2 hour mark. Yeah, we're fine. I'm just gonna stay here, smack this. There we go. It is very easy to accidentally be slightly off with that shot and just turn that meteor back around again, and like, all right, I have to use another egg to try and turn it back around so I can then throw another egg to try and pick it up again. Some of them can be a little bit annoying. Try to pick this up. One thing thing I don't think I mentioned is that when it comes to like those egg blocks where I'm getting eggs out of them, if you just jump into it, you will just get one egg at a time. But if you throw an egg into it, it will lock on, please. Thank you. If you throw an egg into it, it will give you multiple eggs at a time. So it pays to just have an egg on hand just to give yourself some more. So if I do this, you can see multiple eggs come out of it. Alright. Cool. Honestly, one of the hardest things about this level for me is trying to get out of that little tube. It's just, you don't have a lot of room to jump. So I'm very happy that I was able to get through that just fine. Alrighty, so we should also have enough coins. Yeah. Should be able to get enough on the way there. Yeah, nice. Able to get a decent amount, and we should be fine. Just one more section in space. And after this checkpoint, I can then actually hone in how much I need for the rest of the run. 27. We do get a decent amount in this next one. This level is like probably one of the best examples of, even if a flower is right in front of your face, you can see it. It's not necessarily the fastest because of all of the different things you have to, all the hoops you need to jump through in order to get them. Ah. Right, some eggs. Whoop. Don't mind all of the little robots going a little bit haywire. We do, however, have to wait for them to cool off and then open up these doors. And that is why there's going to be a flower a little bit later on that you will see, but it's not necessarily the fastest because we have to wait like several of these robots. That one right there, you can see the doors that you have to kind of get through. They aren't particularly quick, those guys. They're not being rushed whatsoever. Okay. Heal that up just a bit. Alright. This section can be a little bit weird because not only do the robots go a little bit haywire, but also the platforms. Whoop. Now we're fine. Nice. Right, so coming past this, past this checkpoint after this level, I need to be getting to 45 flowers because the last normal checkpoint, or the checkpoint into the last section, requires 15, and then to get to the final boss, we need 30. So, let's see how we're going. Alright, we're at 32. Alright, so we need... My brain just completely turned off when it comes to numbers. 28, so that's fine. Anything more than needing 30 from these last handful of levels is where things started to get a little bit... Alright, there's a decent amount in the first and third level in these next two sections. The middle one, we don't get too many of them. Alright, we're just going to ignore those fish things. Ooh, a little bit too slow. We don't get that early lily pad, but that's fine. One thing you might be seeing me do is that when it comes to trying to get a little bit of extra distance while also maintaining some height, I'll just kind of pepper the fluttering, not doing it too much. Like not doing like a full flutter, just getting just enough of it so it just kind of stalls us in the air a little bit, but not giving us the slowdown. And just doing that over longer periods of time, you'll kind of slow your descent and also oh no, don't eat. I keep on missing that. I don't know why. I just keep on just misjudging it. Oh well. That's why we have extras. Unfortunately, I can't throw an egg at that flower in the back. It's like at a different plane and it's just not really interactable, unfortunately. It would be nice if I could. That'd be a nice, easy flower to pick up on the way through, but nah, fine. Alright, there's gonna be another flower here. And for the last stretch of this level, we're going to be chased down by one of those fish, but you don't really get to see it all that much. Well, hopefully we don't get to see it all that much. Just flower. Nice. Sometimes it's better to just take the hit and instead of just completely throwing off your rhythm. Alrighty. Even though we did miss that one flower with the timer challenge, we're still getting a decent amount. And coming up soon, there is going to be another one, well, the last of the vehicle levels. You can see it on the right. There's going to be those little cars. We'll be able to do a little bit of racing. But this level, we're only going to be able to grab maybe a couple of easy flowers. But the rest of it, it's just trying to get through some awkward sections of navigation with these blocks. Just waiting for some of it. Ah! Didn't mean to just walk off like that. Right, so I do want to have enough eggs so that I can actually do a little bit of extra platforming here. I don't have any more eggs, so I'm just going to have to wait now. Come on, up again. Alright, I do want 2 coming into this next section because I do need to make a cloud appear and then throw an egg to break it to get the flower. And there's going to be one more flower towards the end here that is going to be high up above us. Even though we are going to be dropping down a whole bunch, it's going to be above us once we get through here. I was meant to bounce off that. There we go. Ugh, that's fine. We've got the 2, we've got the flower for health. And that is one of the reasons why, especially for marathon, definitely a good idea for someone like me to take the costume, because otherwise I would have been missing out on so many flowers for health that I would have been much more in the negative. Alright. So, as I mentioned, the last of the vehicle levels, we are going to be riding a solar-powered little car. And the way the mechanics work on this, it's solar-powered, so if you're in the shade, it apparently just doesn't work. Makes sense, right? Alrighty. As we get this started, Shay, do you have any messages?
Nothing new has come in, but I would just like to thank Urban Climb for sponsoring ASM 2025. They have generously contributed 7 prize vouchers for entry into any urban climb across Australia, as well as the included gear hire. Further information can be found at prizes.ausspeedruns.com.
Alrighty, so while racing along, we can interrupt some of the other vehicles by hitting them with eggs, but one thing I've found is that tends to make things more awkward because they can just be in the way at the worst times if you do that. Whoop. Oh, if I missed that, that was going to be the red coin not available to us. It can get a little bit awkward towards this later section when it comes to just trying to find a nice clean route between all of the vehicles. Well, that sound meant that I clipped the shade. But it's fine. It was like not much. As you can see, the other vehicles are generally just faster than us, but we can actually just not be in the shade, whereas they will constantly be running through the shade and slowing down because of it. I got the coins I needed, and I got past them. That's all I can hope for. Alright, so to get the flower, we need to do some good timing on these turns. Get the flower. And the last couple of red coins right here. There we go. Got it all. A little bit of a slowdown from the shade, but yeah, it's not too bad. Got all the flowers. That's going to help us coming into this last section. Yeah. You get the 3 flowers are coming first. What are we at? 34. Yeah, we only need, what, 11 in this last section? We can get that easily. Oh yeah, this last guy, I always forget that this last guy does want to yap a little bit. But we are not going to be getting any of those souvenirs, unfortunately. Alright, so I mentioned in the previous section that the first and the third levels of this one are going to have the most flowers for us. Just ease of access for a lot of them. Yeah, we're going to be able to get a decent amount from this first one, I'll say. As long as I don't mess up some of these shots. And also, this, like, we kind of got a bit of a glimpse of the weird, like, horror vibe when it came to the Haunted Mansion earlier, but this one leans into that a little bit more in a kind of a weird way. I was not expecting it when playing through this first. And you're hearing those cries, these weird scarecrow things. The best way to deal with them, run into them, and then just walk through them with the iframes. It is better to walk into them and just bounce off them than it is to just get hit by them, because if they hit you with the axe, you just get sent back reeling, and that wastes a little bit of time. Alright. Other option is to just go over the top of them. Grab this flower. We're in between 2 and 3. Right, we should be able to get this flower here. Never mind. I'm just gonna... See, that's what happens if you get hit by him. You just get sent reeling back. They don't like the light though. So that is a key piece of information. Spawn this flower. And again, just eggs are really handy. We don't really want to bother too much with this timer challenge. It's not the most fun to do either. I would go to the top of you. There's going to be a whole lot of these at the end here, as you can see them all. Go to the top of you. One more flower. And we run all our way to the end. If you just keep running, they won't be able to catch you. As soon as they get into the range where they start their swing animation, the animation takes long enough to where you will be out of range by the time they're supposed to make contact. Alright, we need 6 more to get through the final checkpoint, and we can get that very, very easily. There's a couple in here that we can get, but the final level, the factory, is where like there is like you can get like 6, 7 like fairly easily. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. For this level, we're supposed to be being very stealthy through a museum. We're not too worried about that. But this is one of the levels where I am... Did I just face through that? Never mind. This is one of the levels where I'm happy to have the armor to just damage boost, because these things are very annoying. Ooh, we'll go through there quick enough. Go up top. Did not want to land on it. There is another flower that we can pick up right here. I did not mean for that to... Bit of a trick shot, but you know what? We'll take it. Please don't break my armor. Okay. Hey! You were off duty and you even hit me. That's rude. Very rude of them, but we'll be fine. Okay, so just one more standard level. Yeah, we're fine. One more standard level. And then we get into the final boss. And I mentioned at the very start, I do have an extra controller. There is a reason for that. And we're going to be utilizing that. It's literally just one phase in the final boss. It's the, like, it may seem a little bit silly, just like, oh, you're bringing out, like, the 2-controller strategy for just a single phase of a single level. It's like, it's actually worthwhile taking the time to do to get the second controller set up, because it saves that much time. And I can go a little bit more into it once we get there. Alright. Don't really need that one, because we only need three more to get what we need, and there's going to be 2 very, very easy flowers to pick up on the elevators. That timer challenge is actually like a very, very easy one to get. It's just grabbing a bunch of coins along the way. But because we have a bunch of very, very easy and straightforward flowers to get in these elevators, we don't really need it. Come on. Oh, I thought it was up. There we go. And when I say very, very easy to get on these elevators, I mean, how much easier do you want it? Alright. That's what I wanted. Just in time for the lava to run out. I missed the I kind of messed up the cycle just a little bit, and all of a sudden things are very weird. But we're fine. Alrighty. Yeah, might as well wait for that. Was a little bit slow in getting up here, but that's fine. There's another flower. Why am I throwing it up? Why am I throwing it up? Never mind. I guess I'm going the normal way. I'm fine. I'm fine. Alright, the last mini-boss coming up. And you know what? I don't need to re-equip the costume for the boss. I should be fine. Alright, the way to take care of Mr. Geary, I think it is. That was weird. Alright, where are you going? It's all the way on the other side. There we go. Yeah, considering I've done a lot of detouring and changed colours and all that, it's actually not looking too bad. Alright, so that we should be getting over 30, 31. We had one extra. Nice. Alright, just before we get into our final boss, Shane, do you have any last messages?
Just one last donation from, $75 from David McLeod with no comment, but thank you so much for all your donations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate every single one of those donations. Big and small, it all makes a difference. Alright, coming into the final boss fight. As I mentioned, we are going to be activating the second controller, the second player, in essentially the co-op mode. And there's a very fun little bonus you get for playing in co-op, and that is you get to ride on each other's back. And one of the benefits of riding on your co-op partner's back is that you have infinite eggs. Let me... number of players. There we go. And having infinite eggs is really good for this first phase because without it, it takes so long for Baby Bowser to start giving you enough Shy Guys to be able to deal with him efficiently. So taking that time to get the 2P set up still saves so much time because we get to jump on yes. And do this. Down. And we just do a little bit of jumping. Do it again. And like, doing this 2P strat is literally only necessary for this section. There's still a whole other thing going on with the next phase of this boss fight, but it is necessary just for this section. It saves that much time. Never mind, I play this game, I should know. Alright, give me those hearts. Oh wait, those hearts only went to the Red Yoshi, not me. I'll be fine. And yes, you can swallow your friend, or eat your friend. I just need them to just kind of not be involved. And I need to not mess up. Alright, so we... Give me the flowers. Give me the hearts. Oh. Actually, I think I might have screwed that up. There's ways to speed this up by using some of those hammers to kind of interrupt certain phases. Interrupting phases like this, which I screwed up, so we'll see what we're doing. We'll just adapt, and hopefully not get like a weird game over. Alright, we'll be fine. I have kind of screwed up this fight like something fierce. Where are you going? That way. No. Alright, we'll be fine now. We just need him to throw enough items. I said. Let me actually bump this away. I kind of messed up at the very start, so now I'm just having to try and remember how to rewrite the ship. Alright, we want to hold on to this one on the right because this is the earliest meteor that we can hit back at him. Get back over there. Start throwing those in. Yeah, I definitely... It's usually a mistake if I end up seeing these items. Anyway, time should be coming up very soon. Time! Barely overestimate. And I'm happy with how that went. I mean, it was a little bit weird at times, but we had a lot of fun, I think. I think we had a good time. So, yeah. That's been Yoshi's Crafted World. I've been GLPhoenix. Thank you so much for playing along with the whole color bid war thing. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that is about it for me here. But keep on tuning in. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the marathon. And, yeah, have a great day.
So much for that very cute run of Yoshi's Crafted World from GLPhoenix. We do have a $50 donation from Chili Pepper, which says, imagine using 2 controllers to save a few seconds while poor Yoshi has to run around in a cardboard box. Join us for the Final Fantasy X name, please, and good luck, have fun. That has been my donation shift. Thank you for having me. I will be back. What day is it? I'll be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of today.